Hello, fifth grade cowboys and cowgirls. This is your second lesson, 1.2, on it has to do with place value and specifically the thousandths place. So let's get started. Make sure you take good notes, write down as much as possible, and I'll be checking these on Wednesday. It says the relationship of a digit in different place value positions is the same with decimals as it is with whole numbers. You can use your understanding of place value patterns in a place value chart to write decimals that are 10 times as much or 1/10 of any given decimal. See, for instance, you have, this is 400ths. So 400ths, 10 times 400ths would be 4/10. And then 1/10 of 400ths would be 4,000ths. So filling it in over here, what is 10 times as much as 400ths? That would be 4/10. Actually moving your decimal one place to the left. To the right. Then 1/10 of 400ths would be 4,000ths. Well, let's try that again. 4,000ths. There we go. So it says use decimal to complete the table. Write the given decimal in a place value chart. Use the place value chart to write a decimal that is 10 times as much as the given decimal, and use the place value chart to write a decimal that is 1/10. So the number we have is 300ths. 10 times that means you're going to move the decimal one place to the right, and it becomes 3/10. 1/10 of that means you move the decimal one place to the left, which makes it 3,000ths. Okay, so 1/10, you multiply that times 10, it becomes 1. 1/10 of that means you move it to the left, it becomes 100th. Okay, 700ths, move it one place to the right because that's 10 times as much, would be 7/10. And 1/10 of that, you move it to the left, becomes 7,000ths. Okay. Here it says, write the decimal shown by the shaded part of the model. This whole thing represents one whole, and there's 100 of these. So one of these would be 100th. And you've got, they wanted to know, they were going to break that down into tenths. So that's actually be one, each one of those would be 1,000th. So that would be 1,000th. Is use place value patterns to complete the table. So again, you got 600ths. So 10 times that would move it one to the right, would be 6/10. 1/10 of it would be 6,000ths. So 9/10, 10 times as much would be 9, and 1/10 would be 900ths. Okay, 3/10 would be 3, it's 10 times as much. 1/10 would be 300ths. 800ths, 10 times as much would be 8/10. 1/10 as much would be 8,000ths. Okay. All right. Problem solving. Number 6 says, what is the value of the digit 2 in the carpenter bee's length? Well, here's the carpenter bee's length. Here's the 2. It's in the hundredths. So it's 200ths is what the 2 represents. If you made a model of a bumblebee that was 10 times as large as the actual bee, so bumblebee is 19,000ths. So 10 times as much would be, move the decimal one place to the right, would be 1900ths. It says the sweat bee's length is 6,000ths of a meter. So we want to fill that into the table, 6,000ths. It's tenths, hundredths, thousandths. Okay, it says an atlas bee is about 1,400ths of a meter long. How does the length of the atlas beetle compare to the length of the leaf-cutting beetle? So the leaf-cutting beetle, so this is the atlas beetle, This is a leaf cutting beetle. This is 10 times that. So 10 times as much. Okay. Then it says Terry, Sasha, and Harry each chose a number. Sarah's number is 10 times as much as Harry's number. Terry's number is 10 times as much as Sasha's number. Harry's number is 75 thousandths. All right. Sasha is 10 times as much as Harry, so I move that one decimal place. So this is Sasha. This is Harry. And Terry's number is 10 times what Sasha's is. 10 times that would be 7 5/10. And that would be Terry. There we go. So then 11, explain how you can use place value to describe how 500ths and 5,000ths compare. Well, 500ths is 10 times 5,000ths. There you go. Okay. So now let's do some daily assessment tasks. It says a squirrel is 1.1 feet or 1 1/10 feet tall. The squirrel shrinks 1/10 of its height. How tall is the squirrel now? Well, if it was 1 1/10, shrinks 1/10, that means the decimal goes here and becomes 1100ths, which is B in this case. 13, write the decimal shown by the model. Well, if this represents one whole, you've got 1800ths there, and then one more in the thousandth spot. So that would be C. Chef uses 300 liter olive oil to make soup. He uses 10 times as much chicken broth as olive oil. He uses 10 times as much vegetable as chicken broth. How much vegetable broth does he use? Well, we started with 300ths. 10 times that would be 3/10. And 3 times that would be 3 liters. So that would be D. And last but not least, what is the relationship between 1 and 1/10? 1/10 is 10 times as much as 1. That is wrong. 1 is 1/10 of 1. 1 is 1/10 of 1/10. No. 1/10 is 1/10 of 1. That would be correct. Check this one. 1 is equal to 1/10. That is not correct. So the correct answer is C. So this concludes our lesson on place value and the thousandths position.